On planet Latrina, at the beautiful cliffside that overlooked the Blue River and shelter, a portal had opened up near the base of the cliff. Out from the portal came Erin first, and next after her was James. The two of them were wearing what everyday travelers would wear, which tended to be a mismatch of beast equipment. It would give people no reason to suspect them of carrying weapons, and at the same time, not make them associated with any group. Erin was given a basic tier beast armor to cover her whole body. Most of it was in some beige-type color, and one could tell from a look it wasn't cut or crafted well, as if she had been given leftovers from someone's dead body. The more she started to think about it, the more it made her worry that it might have been leftovers from one of their dead agents. She couldn't help but stare at an oddly faint red marking that wouldn't go away no matter how much she rubbed at it. However, if she was to kill or defeat beasts while out on the field, she could use that to improve her equipment. Or each time she ranked up to a different number, she would also be given a hefty bonus in credits. As soon as the two stepped out of the portal, Erin started to look at the top of the cliff top. It was where they had last left, and where James had thrown her watch. "Do you mind if I go up there and check the view?" Erin asked. "It's been a long time since I've been out of that base." "Sure," James said. "I'll go with you." She was hoping James wouldn't have replied like that, but at least she was able to go to the cliff top. As she moved, she noticed James stayed a few feet behind her, and it never seemed to change. She slowed down her pace going up, and he slowed down his. If she sped up hers, he sped up his as well. Due to her training at the base, it was apparent he was tracking her. The two of them had finally reached the top, and with him around it would be hard to look clearly through the grass to see if she could find the watch, but she slowed down her stride to have a look around. Her field of vision and her ability to spot things had gotten better. She hated to say it, but it was because of Pure. This was all part of their training, but no matter how hard she looked, she couldn't see it at all. "I guess there was a chance it was taken away by one of those flying beasts in the end. Just my luck." As she looked over the cliff top and looked out at the beautiful view, she let out a big sigh. "James, are you always going to be following me this closely?" she asked. "I thought you would notice, and yes," he replied. "Do you not remember? It will be like this for a month. I need to bring you up to speed, and a lot of our agents try escaping in the first month, and let me tell you something, not one has succeeded." It seemed like there was no reason for James to say those last words, but he had probably already figured out why Erin had chosen to come up here, and was trying to give her a warning. James felt like Erin could go far in the organization if she could just cut her ties with the rest of the world and see the future ahead as the rest of them. But the one driving factor in Erin's mind that made her disagree with everything Pure had shown her was that she wanted to get stronger. And to be the strongest one could be, they needed abilities on top of everything else. In Pure's mind, there would be a world with no conflict, so there is no need for power. But Erin could never imagine that happening, even if powers were taken away. So she wanted to be the strongest she could be to protect everyone. The problem she felt with the world right now was the ones with the strongest powers did nothing, and there wasn't one person who was supreme over all the others. If there ever came the chance where one person would be stronger than all the others without question, and also did things the right way, then the world could change for the better. If she couldn't find that person, then she had to become that person. "So what exactly are our duties here again?" Erin asked. "It's quite simple for the most part. It's just to act like a normal traveler while gathering information and news. Keep up to date with what is going on this planet," James explained. "You see, we have agents deployed on every shelter on every planet, as well as in other places. They all report back to the base. This allows them to get a big picture of what is going on and how things are moving. Even though we have fewer people than the military, our information gathering and our eyes are just as good. Sometimes when you have too many people in a charge, it gets harder to do things." "You have people on every planet and shelter?" Erin said, shocked, knowing they also had agents in the military base. "Well, there is one exception, and that's red portal planets. With no military presence there and at risk of losing our talented agents, we see no point to send anyone there, although you may get the very top single agents on those planets from time to time, since those are the only ones strong enough to survive in a place like that." The two started to head down from the cliff top towards the shelter. They would need to look for accommodation they could pay to stay while there and set up all of their equipment. Everything would be covered by Pure. It made Erin wonder how they managed to get such money in the first place to create a base and pay for all these operations. The only thing she could think of was what James had mentioned earlier. Maybe that's why she hardly ever saw the single high number digits around the base, apart from Agent 5. It seemed like 5 was always in charge of the base, because the others were never there, and as for number 1, the person is rumored to have a demon-tiered weapon. She had never seen him once since she joined. Once entering the shelter, it seemed easier than others to find accommodation and all sorts. The people who were running the place seemed to be happy that travelers had decided to stay. They were even given jobs on the spot to protect the shelter as a part of a shift duty once a week. When looking around, Aaron noticed there were quite a few travelers who seemed to be working as guards. It seemed a bit strange to have this many people protecting this one peaceful shelter. Technically, this planet was classified as a green planet. The highest level of beasts that would be seen here were intermediate tiers, so why so many guards? The two of them had entered a nice-sized apartment. It had a large living room that doubled up as a kitchen area, and then 2 separate rooms with a bathroom each. It was more cozy than her living quarters at a pure base or the military base. The two of them, after unpacking their belongings, did the standard checks in the room. Sensors were set up by the door, secret cameras were placed in the corners of the room, and they too checked if there was anything wrong with the place. After everything was done, the two of them sat down at the table. "Okay, let's see how well you've done so far," James said. "What did you notice about the place?" "The place is really quiet, and all the people look happy. It's as if the shelter has never experienced an attack before. Yet for some reason, there's an absurd amount of guards all over the outside of the shelter. It's as if they're hiding something or protecting something." "Good," James replied. "When I first came here, I noticed the same thing too. So I decided to do a little digging. However, even for us, it was hard to find out who was funding everything. The only information we could get was the shelter was being privately financed. A shelter not protected by the Big Four or the families or by the military. There aren't many people in the world who would be rich or powerful enough to look after a single shelter like this, so that narrows our suspects down a little. But just like you, it does seem strange, and our task is to find out who and why they need to do this. My research tells me there's a dojo that was built not too long ago. There's a crazy young person. He's the only one that lives here. If anyone tries to get close, he tells them to go away. This will be our starting point." At the same time, in that very dojo, Leo was meditating in the main hall. He sat down on the floor, cross-legged with his eyes closed. The aches and urges in his body had gotten stronger, and he was trying his best to suppress them. He knew how to get rid of it instantly. The answer was to consume blood. But Leo was trying to look for a different answer. Quinn had told him that some vampires had managed to eventually wean off blood completely. That he had become addicted and was in the middle of the process of trying to be less reliant on blood. This gave Leo an idea. Perhaps there was a way of using his ki. He would be able to suppress hunger and stop his body from feeling what it was feeling. So far, every day, when getting such pains, using his ki seemed to work in suppressing it. However, if he used a blood skill, it would get harder the next day. It looked like if he wanted to use the blood powers, there was no way of avoiding consuming blood. But if he just wanted the other advantages, such as increased strength and speed, the suppression of ki was enough, so he wouldn't have to consume blood on a 2-day basis, as Quinn had first suggested. It was a good result. "Sir," the young man said, rushing in. Luckily, Leo had just finished meditating. Otherwise, the interruption would have made him start the whole process again. It wasn't a quick one, as it would take about an hour to make the hunger go away. "Oh, sorry," the young man said as he saw Leo sitting on the floor as he entered the room. "You know, you haven't been here that long and I'm not used to this. I'm used to having the whole place to myself, relaxing and—" "Please, what is it?" Leo said, interrupting him. "Oh, right. It's about those 2 people I said I saw a few months ago. Well, there's been reports that they're back." Leo thought about the watch he had found at the cliff top that was currently in his room. If it did belong to Aaron, he wondered what they were doing back here. "Maybe I should go see what they're up to," Leo said. Although the travelers and shelter officials didn't know who they worked for, they knew who to report to, and that was a young man who went by the name of Taz. He had been there since the shelter had started and was in charge of distributing the funds and assigning roles to everyone. Of course, as time went on, Taz was left with fewer things to do as he delegated the roles and the shelter grew, but still, everyone in the shelter knew about Taz. It even left the others who were there from the start to claim this was all his doing, even though he insisted he wasn't the one supporting them at all. They still had a sneaky suspicion it might have been him, so they treated him like some mayor of the shelter. Because of this, it was easier for Taz to request specific items to get what he wanted. All information would eventually pass through his ears. A special request had been made to inform him of all new people entering and leaving the shelter, and he had been told immediately. After passing on the information to Leo, he wanted to start his search for the two. As he saw Leo leave again through the two big red doors, he began to remember how great that man was. "You do so much for everyone, and nobody knows it's even you. You still haven't changed since the day you saved my life on the battlefield. I will always be loyal to you." Taz was extremely loyal, because when he was just a young soldier, Leo saved his life once. If it weren't for him, he probably would have never got to come back home alive. He and Leo were both privates at the time, so when he heard he was going to become a sergeant, Taz thought it was well-deserved and wanted to help make his life more comfortable at any cost. As Leo began to walk outside, he didn't know where to go, only that they would be in the shelter. Although he could remember Erin's aura quite well since she used to be in his beast class and was one of the best students compared to the others. Surprisingly, though, it didn't take as long as Leo thought it would to find them. A little away from the dojo, just down one of the streets to the central plaza of the shelter, he could see two people walking his way, and one of them was Erin. The two continued to walk, but Leo made sure not to say anything. The moment she saw Leo, her heart started beating rapidly. On top of her not saying anything and doing her best to carry on, it all felt a little weird. "Something's wrong, and I have a feeling it's to do with the person behind her," Leo thought. The two of them didn't do anything, and Erin carried on walking as if she didn't know who Leo was. "What's he doing here?" she thought. "Shouldn't he still be at the military base? Has the school come here on an expedition? But the timelines don't add up. It doesn't make any sense." She started to think of why Leo could be here, but she had no clue. However, she did know he knew the others quite well enough to keep their secret since he also helped her escape from the military base in the first place. If he was able to help her back then, maybe there was a chance he could help him now. James was still following her, but from a distance away as he usually did, while Leo was doing well to keep up his act of slowly walking completely blind. One look at his eyes, and people could tell he wasn't faking. As the two of them passed each other, Erin whispered as quietly as she could, "I need your help. The man behind me is with Pure. They have agents on every corner," she quickly said. Even though the time they passed each other was short, she continued to whisper. Knowing that Leo's hearing was better than others, she hoped he could still hear her. "I don't know where to go. I can't go to the military base, but if you can get me somewhere safe, I can stay in hiding until everything settles down. Please help me if you can." She didn't know how much he had heard, and she felt guilty for asking for his help after he had done so much for her before. But as soon as she saw Leo, images of Layla and the others had popped into her head. It seemed like she missed them more than she had thought. Her pride would no longer get in her way like before. She would willingly take all the help she could get. What Layla didn't know was that Leo's hearing wasn't just good, it was excellent. The abilities of a vampire had significantly increased his senses, and he had managed to hear everything. Still, he didn't fail to notice the direction the two were heading, the dojo. It was secluded from the rest of the shelter. Although people often walked down this route, now knowing what organization they belonged to, he had a feeling they might be looking into him. Continuing his journey into town, Leo started to think of the possibilities of how he could help Erin. The two had finally arrived outside the dojo and were standing by the two large doors. "So what are we going to do now? You said the young guy never lets anyone in, right? And I don't think asking him who owns this place is going to work," Erin said. James put his hand into a side bag that he had on with him his whole time. Erin wondered why he had been carrying it. She also remembered she saw he had packed something she didn't like seeing being put in there. He then handed her a balaclava to place over her head while putting one on his own. "What are you doing?" she said, looking around. "You can't be serious." "Don't worry," James replied. "I have checked the place before for cameras. I've already snuck in beforehand. However, to be safe, this has always needed to be a two-person operation. The only person in there is the young man who people call Taz. He seemed to be well respected in this town, so no one must see us doing this. We will both go inside, and then I need you to stay on the lookout." "Wait," Erin said, grabbing James's arm, which he quickly lifted to throw her hand off his. It was the first time the two of them had made physical contact since the base. "Aaron, don't," James said in a stern voice as he took the balaclava out of her hands and forced it on top of his head for her. This was a reminder that James wasn't a good person. When they had first met, he had been rough, but in the base and now recently, he had been a little nicer, which made Aaron forget about the past. But now she remembered he was a high-ranking member of Pure. All the training that people went through, he had no problem watching people suffer. "Just tell me what you're going to do, what I think you're going to do. You said to me we would just act like normal travelers and gather information. Why has this become so important?" "It's a request," James replied. "From above, I don't know why, but after I reported to them the location of the dojo and where it was built, they wanted us to find out who was behind it all, and we're doing it now. No one will know it was us, and after this is done, we can go on pretending to be travelers." After saying that, James swiftly jumped and started to scale up the wall. He was done explaining, and she had no choice but to follow. After scaling the wall, it seemed like James had already known the young man's daily routine and the most likely places he would be. At this time, he would be cleaning the main dojo hall. From the top of the wall, they could see the place was quite large. There was the wall they were on, which was square. It had a path that allowed one to walk all the way around, and then there was the center dojo, as well as other buildings behind it off to the side. The flooring was white, as if made of some type of pebbles. It was a strange thing to have such flooring, since it indeed would have made too much noise. While looking at it, Aaron started to think, "Wait, didn't Leo come from this direction? Don't tell me this place belongs to Leo." After asking for his help and what the two of them were planning to do, she didn't know whether Leo would help her after this. James leaped from the building wall, nearly covered the whole distance, and made it to the center. As he landed, he signaled Aaron to follow after. "Huh? Did I hear something from outside?" Taz thought as he got his towel off the floor. It was cleaning duty for him today, and he wanted to make the place spotless for Leo when he came back. Even if he couldn't see his hard work, he knew he would appreciate it. Just as he was about to check it out, the sliding doors opened, and a man wearing a balaclava came running out to him. The door was swiftly shut from behind, and Aaron stood outside as the watchguard. The man's hand was firmly over Taz's mouth, and he had already swiftly cuffed his two hands behind his back. All the actions had only taken a few seconds. "Now, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer them honestly. Otherwise—" From his side bag from earlier, James had brought out a toolbox full of different sharp objects. "Who has been funding the shelter? I know you are, Taz. You're the only person who would know everything going on here, and my guess is they have something to do with this place. You were nothing but a private when you left the military. There is no way you could afford to live in a place like this or get a position here, so tell me now." Removing his hand from Taz's mouth, James had thought that that would be enough. Just the threat was often enough for people to give in. In reality, torture didn't work. People were scared beings, and they would just tell you what you wanted to hear, hoping to let you go. But all he wanted was a name. "Go to hell," Taz said with a smile as he spat in James's face. "Wrong answer." While Aaron stood outside waiting, she was extremely worried. She was meant to be on the lookout to see if anyone was coming, but her mind was elsewhere. Because right now, all she could hear were the muffled screams and the shouts of the man behind her. When she saw the toolbox and what James had said before, she knew something was up. "Should I stop it? But he's too strong. I'm still weak," Aaron said, as tears ran down her face, and how she was doing this to the person who had helped her before. A few minutes had passed, and the muffled noises had continued. Then finally, Aaron couldn't take it anymore and fell to her knees. At the same time, when she looked in front of her, the red doors had opened, and Leo walked in. It looked like her guess was right. However, a look she had never seen before was on his face. "I'm sorry," Aaron said with tears rolling down her. "I smell blood," Leo said. After Leo had gone past Aaron and the mystery man, he wanted to give enough time for them to do what they wanted to do. He had no business with Pure, or at least he thought he had no business with Pure. So he gathered that perhaps they were just curious about the newly built dojo, or who was running the shelter. Maybe they were even going to Taz to try to recruit him over to the Pure side. Still, just in case, Leo decided he would circle and come from a different direction and would do some spying of his own. Doing a short wraparound in a circle, back to his place wouldn't take long. But when he started to walk from the other side, a sweet smell had entered his nose, a scent so strong that it felt like a strongly scented flower was placed right in front of his nose. He had never smelt such a thing before. Then the pains in his stomach had returned. These were enough clues for him to figure out what it was. It was blood. He immediately started to dash forward, and the smell had grown stronger as he got closer. When he stood in front of the red doors, he instantly knew where it was coming from. He didn't even need to use his ability to see, as the strong smell was leading him all the way there. As he quickly kicked open the doors, he heard Erin crying but didn't care for that right now. Erin suddenly saw Leo in front of her through her watery eyes. Then the next it felt like a gust of wind had passed her face as her hair flicked back. When she looked in front, no one was there. From outside, Erin had heard a loud crash that sounded like an explosion had gone off, and then shortly after, there was another one. Turning her head, all she could see was a large hole had been made in the dojo, and further down the line, dust and debris could be seen from the outer wall. When Leo entered the dojo, he was focused on one thing only, not even allowing a single millisecond to pass. Leo didn't draw the sword from his scabbard and just hit the large man in front of him with his full strength. Quickly rushing into the dojo room, Erin could see Leo standing above a man who lay there on the floor. His teeth were missing, his fingernails were bloody, and one of his ears had been cut off. The man slowly opened his swollen eyes to see Leo standing above him. "Sir," Taz said in a shaky voice. His mouth and lips were busted and swollen, making it hard for him to speak. He went to try to grab onto Leo to pull himself up, but then realizing his hands were covered in blood, he refused to ruin Leo's clothes. He quickly pulled his hand away and tried to push himself off the floor, but it was useless. "I promise," Taz stuttered. "I did not tell them anything." With that, Taz had finally collapsed onto the floor. "Erin!" Leo shouted. "Take this man to the medical center, quickly!" Leo then drew his blade from his sheath. The wave-like pattern shined in the sunlight. "You wanted me to help you, correct? Then I will get rid of the problem." Erin was frozen for a second. She didn't know what to do and never thought things would escalate so quickly. "If it's a choice to either believe Leo or Pure," she thought as she clenched her fist, "then I believe in you, Leo," she shouted as she quickly picked up Taz from the ground with all her strength and ran out of the place. "Now the distraction is out of the way, I can deal with you," Leo said. There were two reasons Leo had asked for Erin to leave with Taz. The first was even though Taz looked severely injured and was passed out, he still wasn't dead, as a heartbeat could still be heard. The second reason was that it took a lot of energy to fight the urge he had inside him. Something was pulling him towards Taz's body, and it wasn't his usual self. Leo hated not being in control and would have to consider this in the future if he would go for a prolonged amount of time without blood. James started to lift himself from the debris. Part of the dojo wall and the outer wall had fallen on him. It was a strong blow, and it felt like a cannonball had come out and hit him from his side, but his strong king-tier leveled armor had protected him well, as there wasn't a mark on him. "Who the hell are you?" James said as he started to lift the sword from his back, but he could see a broad line of blue aura coming out towards him. Quickly, using all of his strength, he channeled it, lifting out his sword and managing to knock the strike away. Soon after, more started to come his way, and James needed to concentrate, using every bit of his power in knocking them away. "Isn't this... But how does he know?" James thought. He knew blocking them wasn't going to be enough, and he would have to strike back. Stepping to the side and running along the edge, he decided to block some and allow his opponent to hit him. He had strong armor so he could rely on it and go on like this for some time. But then, one of the strikes had hit him in the chest. Once again, the force from the blow had sent him back, crashing into a wall. Looking down at his chest, a large dent could be seen. Something that had never happened before. His king-tier armor had been damaged. "Who is this guy? He is almost using that..." James had made a miscalculation. He was unaware that Leo had attacked him with the first attack while the blade was still in its scabbard. Now that it was out, it was a lot sharper than before. "If I were to meet his sword head-on, I would be dead right now." With nothing else to lose, he had no choice. The airblade strikes continued to come forward. Instead of blocking them, he started to charge up the energy inside him. Of course, through Leo's ability, he could see everything that was happening inside James's body. The energy was rising from his belly and was being transferred from the sword to the sword. Then when James went for a swing of his own, a blade of blue aura, a bit larger, had come out and had utterly destroyed all of his. As he left the dojo, a strange feeling overcame Leo. It was the first time James saw his attacker. "That's the blind man from before. Is he the attacker?" "Tell me," Leo shouted. "Tell me now. How do you know how to use ki?" The words spoken by the blind man had only confirmed James's thoughts. He had been using ki this whole time. This was a skill that was taught to all the agents that went from rank 6 to 20. A secret that was not to be passed on, and at the same time, a reward for those who were trusted enough. But this blind man in front of him, James had never seen before. Instead of answering his questions, James decided to respond with another large slash of his own. The ki attack was more powerful than Leo's due to the extra support from his weapon. His weapon was larger and more focused on power, while Leo focused on speed and sharpness. Against well-armored beasts, he would find it difficult, whereas Leo would have an easier time. But Leo was a little unprepared since he had none of his gear on. He had never expected an attack this soon while at home, and had only his blade with him. Seeing the large slash coming towards him, Leo didn't want to run away. The sight of Taz was still fresh in his mind. He placed his sword back in his sheath and started to concentrate his ki. But not only this, he was adding something a little special to this attack this time. As the attack drew close, he still hadn't moved. James was carefully keeping his eye on the blind man, waiting for him to move or throw his next attack, knowing he needed to keep his distance. Just as the large ki strike was upon him, Leo unleashed his sword from his sheath at an amazing speed, and a ki attack of his own came out. Still the same size as the previous ones, only this one was different. It was dyed in a red blood color. As soon as it touched the large ki source, it destroyed the attack, but something unexpected happened after. When James tried to dodge the ki attack, he could see nothing. Then slowly, his vision started to slant until he could finally see the floor. Blood began to soak the floor where he stood as his body was cut in half. The blood slash was more powerful and faster than Leo had thought. Like a lightning bolt, as soon as it left its sheath, it had killed James. The attack itself seemed to have been far stronger than Leo had anticipated. While practicing the blood slash before, he had never performed it as a quick slash while enforcing his ki, and this was the result. The original plan was just to create a force that was equal to James's attack. He would run and follow close behind and have cut him personally down with his katana blade. "I didn't want to kill him. There were questions to ask and answers I still needed," Leo thought as he walked over to the body. There was still hope that there might have been something on him that would be of use. On his way there, he noticed the white pebble flooring had a huge grove that had been created all along the floor. He still didn't know his power and had a lot to learn. However, something else was happening. As he got closer to the blood and the torn body, the pain in his body was increasing exponentially. The fight had taken quite a bit of ki out of him, and he had performed a blood attack. Right now, he didn't have enough ki to suppress his hunger. The veins on his arms started to bulge out. He could see the purple flames in his body rapidly going into the center of his body. Now the body was only a few feet away, but he could feel his consciousness slipping. "Is this what Quinn warned me about? If I don't consume blood, I'll turn into a monster. I just need to make it." Aaron had successfully brought Taz to the nearby medical center. There were travelers there who had healing abilities and doctors, so they were equipped more than enough. Due to there not being many cases of people getting hurt, she was able to see someone straight away. The staff immediately knew who it was when they saw Taz on her back and didn't ask for payment of any type, directly getting to work. After a few moments, a staff member had come out to inform Aaron that he would be okay. Although the wounds on his body looked terrible and he had lost quite a bit of blood, his life was actually in no immediate danger. A good overnight's rest would be enough. As I would expect from a pure agent, Aaron thought. The torture had gone on longer than a normal case would have gone for, especially for someone who wasn't trained against this type of thing. James wouldn't kill his biggest lead and continued to chip away until he got his answer. After hearing Taz was okay, she was happy to leave him be and started heading back to the dojo as fast as possible. "I know Leo's strong, but the number 6 to number 20 are on a different level, and he had his king tier beast gear on. If I'm right, I don't remember seeing Leo wearing any protective gear. I hope Leo can hold on. I won't be much help, but maybe with the two of us we can take him on together." The red doors were up ahead, and she was too focused to even notice that there wasn't a single sound. As she walked in through the doors, finally she noticed that she couldn't hear anything, at least not the sound of fighting. Looking at the destruction and devastation, several pebbles were moved, and large cuts could be seen all over the different buildings. It looked like a fight between two strong beasts had taken place here, not two humans. Then, following one of the bigger cuts with her eyes across the floor, it eventually led her to the wall just by her side. There she could see Leo's back standing in front of James's body that had been split diagonally in half. "He killed him! But how? I know Leo was strong due to the rumors surrounding him during the war, but I never knew he was this strong." She started to inspect the bloody body closely. By now, she had seen a few dead bodies, and the training video that Pure had made them watch had allowed her to become desensitized to such a sight. She could see that a cut had been made so clean that it was able to tear right through the armor. "Still, I don't understand. I'm sure I checked his weapon, and it was only at the king tier? A king tier weapon and armor should mostly be even unless there is a huge amount of difference in strength. It can't be at the legendary level, can it?" She then realized that James, the agent who was tasked with looking after her, was dead. She also realized that she had bigger things to worry about than whether or not Leo's weapon was legendary or king tier. "Are you okay?" she asked. At that moment, Leo turned around, and seeing his face, she took 2 steps back. "Don't be scared, it's me," Leo said, sensing the change in her heartbeat. "Your mouth," she pointed. Around Leo's mouth, there was the blood of his victim painted all over. As Leo went to wipe it away with his sleeve, he only managed to smudge it more. "Sorry, when one cannot see clearly, sometimes it gets a little messy." Hearing this, something just clicked inside her head. The thing around Leo's mouth had to be blood, and after leaving the base, she had thought about them many times with Quinn along with Peter's situation. "Leo, are you a vampire?" she asked. A little surprised himself that Aaron had said these words, but not entirely since she used to belong to Quinn's little group. "A lot has happened, young lady, in the time you were away. Care to lend a hand?" Leo said, pointing at James's body on the floor. The two of them got to work, with Aaron first closing the doors to the dojo. Shortly after, she went inside to grab some large bin bags. When she returned, she noticed that Leo, using his blade, was able to cut through James with ease, and had made his body almost unrecognizable, as it looked a little similar to minced meat. Although she was desensitized to such scenes due to the countless videos she had watched, the videos couldn't correctly emulate everything, such as the smell and the feeling. It was starting to hit her a little as she felt nauseous. After placing the body in a few bags, they went to an old-fashioned blacksmithing area inside the dojo's grounds. It was quite large, and the weapons that Leo had before were now placed here. The body parts were then thrown into the hot furnace until they burned to ashes. "What happens if people find out? Aren't you going to get in trouble for this?" Aaron asked, looking at the flames and smelling the body. "From who? I own this place. Unless I report myself or lock myself up, nothing will happen. You don't have to worry about a thing." The two of them left the furnace to allow it to carry on burning while heading back to the main dojo hall. It didn't look the same as before, and there were still traces of Taz's blood and a large hole in the side from when James was hit. Grabbing a few towels and such, Aaron started to clean up a little while also cleaning up the remaining blood on Leo's face. She had offered, and Leo had accepted. He could see wireframes using his ability, but he couldn't see specific details. "You're quite good at this," Leo said as he sat down on the floor. "My parents used to own a dojo like this a while ago. It brought back some memories for me," Aaron replied as she sat down opposite. While the two of them were cleaning up, Leo had explained to her what had happened. He gathered that she already knew Quinn's truth from what she had asked, so it was safe to tell her. After that, Aaron had a few questions she wanted to ask. "Do you know what happened to Layla?" Aaron asked. "While I was still at the base, she was still there. I didn't even know she was a part of Pure. I don't believe anything will have happened to her in such a short amount of time." It was a relief for Aaron to hear that, but still, she couldn't be completely satisfied with that answer. "Thank you for looking after Taz, but I'm afraid I went a little too far in my scuffle and killed your friend." "He's not my friend," Aaron replied instantly, "but I do think we have a bigger problem. Pure members are to report back to the base every week. Every agent has a different device they use to report back. I don't know about James. Perhaps he was even meant to report back even more. They might send someone else here looking for me."
"About that, do you know anything about James's power or the skills he used?" Leo asked.
"Power? I'm not quite sure what you mean. He never really displayed his full power in front of us. None of the higher number do. Although, what I do know is once you reach the ranks of 20 and above, they get sent off for some special type of training."
"Is he with Pure?" Leo thought. "Maybe that's why they were so interested in the dojo I built. I did so to bring attention, and it looked like it worked, but why not come himself then? Why go so far? Do you still hold a grudge against me for what happened on that day, Master?"
Leo was trying to think hard about the best course of action for the future, not just for him, but for Aaron and more for the people in the shelter. He didn't want to cause them any trouble or alarm. They deserved a peaceful life, but at the same time, he needed to do something.
"Maybe it's best if we both leave this place," Leo said. "After what happened, they will be after me as well. I don't want to put the lives of people living here in danger."
"But where would we go? They have people at every shelter, and I can't go back to the military base. Also, what if they send someone here again and go after Taz?" Aaron asked, hoping he would have an answer.
"If my hunch is right, I know someone at Pure very well. I'll have Taz crush the dojo and put someone else in charge. He's not interested in the people here. He's interested in me."
At this point, Aaron was a little lost. She had no clue what Leo was talking about, but just knew right now he was her only hope.
"As for your second problem, follow me," Leo said.
Before leaving the dojo, Leo went to access something in the room's corner. After entering a code, a small door opened, and he grabbed an object from it. Then, using another device, a digital screen appeared with a sound wave. As Leo spoke, the sound wave would move. After listening to what Leo was saying, she realized it was a digital message left for Taz. "Our time together has been great, but I'm afraid it has come to an end because the goal and person I have been looking for is in sight. I'm sorry for what happened to you today. I believe I am to blame for this. With this, I will give you your final and last task. 2 gold credit cards have been left behind. I would like you to select a person who you think will do well in looking after the city, someone you trust. I believe you are better than anyone to decide this. Pass the card on to him. When I can, I will apply for funds and continue to support this shelter. As for the second gold card, that is for yours to use. There should be enough money for you to last a lifetime as long as you don't go and squander it. There is no need for you to risk your life to put food on the table. Enjoy it. When I leave, have the dojo and all the equipment in it destroyed. And stay as far away from me as possible and cut the connection with people you know here as well." The 2 of them left the dojo and went outside to another building located in the same large square that Leo owned. It wasn't as big as the main hall they had just left, but was the second biggest in the whole square area. Before entering the room, in his hand, Leo grabbed Aaron's and placed the object that he had taken out of the safe.
"I believe this belongs to you," Leo said.
"My watch! This means I can finally get in contact with the others," she said with joy on her face, but now was not the right time to do so. The 2 of them entered the room, and it wasn't too big. It was a bit cramped, but what did surprise her, it was almost a replica of the portal room that the military base had. Several different portals led to other places.
"I bought most of these on the black market, but every portal here should belong to a green planet or an orange portal planet. I would often use these before joining the military to go out on solo hunts. Then, with the beast's crystals, I would sell them to fund the shelter."
At first, Aaron thought that maybe one of these portals would be her way out of here, but after hearing Leo specifically say that they were only orange portals and green portals, she got disheartened once again. As long as there was a military presence on one of these planets, there would be a member of Pure hidden around somewhere.
"This is only a temporary measure for now while we get our bearings. I believe what Quinn has given me is a gift," Leo said, clenching his fist. "I've never felt stronger than before, but I still need time to train myself and my skills. If you wish, I will train you too. If you want to see your friends again, I suggest you take me up on my offer. Once the 2 of us are strong enough, we will come back, and Pure will fear us."
Going to one of the teleporters, Leo pulled it from the side and into the center of the room. Then, once activated, the small waves in the air could be seen. However, the color that Aaron was expecting didn't appear. It was a portal in red. "What? How did you get this?" Aaron said. "Isn't it dangerous? Wouldn't this be worse than running from Pure?"
"This portal used to be an orange portal planet. You don't know this, but the students were sent here on an expedition. The highest tier beast on this planet is advanced tier beasts. It turns out that there were many advanced tier beasts. It was enough for the military to decide to abandon it and classify it as a red portal planet. I'm confident that if there are only advanced tier beasts, we should be able to avoid trouble. There may be the odd king tier beast here or there, but it was clear that there aren't many. This will be the perfect place for us both to train. Although Leo didn't mention it, he had one more worry. It was unlikely they would meet. She thought about it, but in the end it was the only option they had. They could carry on running in disguise from shelter to shelter, being chased, never having a place to settle, or she could take a risk, grow stronger with Leo, and no longer have to be afraid of hiding. 1 year, Aaron said. I want to meet up with the others when they leave school. I want to be strong enough to no longer have to worry about True Dream or Pure. If you can do these things, then I will come with you. Aaron took Leo's hand, and the two of them slowly started to walk through the portal together. On the muddy ground, inside a hot jungle where the trees were so tall, as if touching the sky, and the tree trunks were as thick as houses. Little ripples of waves suddenly formed in the air, and shortly after, sparks of electricity came out of nowhere. A portal had soon shot open, and out of it came both Aaron and Leo, stumbling and placing their hands on the ground, trying to balance themselves. Ah, we're here, Aaron said, wondering what the place looked like, but when she lifted her head, she was greeted with a sharp, pointy spear. Intruders! We have 2 people who have come through a portal, the man holding the spear said. When they looked around, both Leo and Aaron noticed that they were surrounded by about 30 people, and they had their beast weapons in their hands, ready to engage in a fight. I thought you said this was a red portal planet, Aaron whispered. There shouldn't be people here, right? There used to be a shelter here, Leo replied, but I thought they had abandoned it, or at least the military did. Up high on one of the trees, there was a wooden house on one of the platforms, built bigger than any other. Inside, a young man came rushing into the main room. Arthur! Arthur! The young boy shouted. There are 2 people who came through a portal together. What should we do? Arthur stood up from the comfy chair he was in and started walking outside to the entrance. I know. I can smell him. He's one of mine. A rare expression could be seen on a student's face today, one who rarely did ever show his emotions, but he was over the moon. Why? Because the long-awaited project that he had been working on for the whole year now was finally complete. Logan sat down in his chair, looking at the green screen. A 9-digit sequence of numbers was shown, and it meant he had finally cracked the code. If he wanted to right now, he could open up the oddly shaped square teleporter, input the code, and it would take him to the destination on the other side. So this was created by Richard Eno? I wonder where you lead, Logan thought. Truthfully, right now, more than anything, he just wanted to jump into the teleporter, but there were a few things that needed to be done before that happened. The first thing, he couldn't just leave in the middle of the school term. Summer would be coming soon, and that would be his best chance to travel to an unknown place. While the second was a question of how to get back. The military didn't sell teleporters that came back to the base, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem for Logan. He could always travel to the unknown planet, and if there was a teleporter leading there, they should be one leading elsewhere, and then eventually they could update the school on their location before coming back. All students were in some way required to notify them of where they were towards the end of their summer. In most cases, students would be asked to all meet up in a particular area. Thankfully, Logan was a VIP student, so he had special privileges which would allow them to come and collect him from wherever he was. Suddenly, the sound of Logan's door was heard being slammed wide open. There was no knock, no nothing, and it truthfully startled him. "Don't touch that teleporter!" Quinn shouted, imagining in his head that Logan had already gone in. A few moments ago, when Logan returned to his room, he had seen the green screen, and as promised, he had sent a message to Quinn. Quinn tried his best to make his way there as fast as possible, afraid that perhaps Logan would be too tempted to do some type of test. What if he's already gone in? What if it all goes wrong? Maybe I should have told him where it led to. He might have even accidentally connected them to us. But in the end, it was all in his head, and Logan was peacefully in his chair. Quinn, can you please not do that? What if I was working on something important and you jolted me? You're lucky I was alone in my thoughts, Logan replied. But the 2 sides of his mouth suddenly rose once again to show a creepy smile. Is that a smile? Quinn asked. When he looked at him, it looked more like a creepy doll smiling, where its teeth weren't showing. The 2 of them sat down and talked,
and Logan explained to Quinn how he thought it would be best to use the teleporter in the summer. This was it for Quinn. He had been trying his best to figure out how to stop Logan from using it, but in the end, the only thing he could do was tell the truth. "Logan, I don't think it's a good idea to use the teleporter, and before you ask why, it's because I know where it goes. When Fex was here, he spotted it in an instant, and he gave me a warning. These square-shaped teleporters, they're all linked back to where the vampires' homes are." Logan remained silent. The smile on his face wasn't present anymore, and he placed his hand on his chin. It was his thinking pose, and Quinn knew not to interrupt while Logan was thinking. "Isn't this a good thing, then?" Logan replied with a surprising answer. "I mean, now we have a way to save Peter, right?" "What are you saying, Logan?" Quinn replied. "Look, I want to save Peter as well, but I think for once you're letting your emotions get the better of you. Why didn't you try to save him in the dungeon in the first place? It was because we had no information on the school dungeon, and it was risky. The place where the vampires live, we know absolutely nothing at all. Say we were able to get there and sneak in. Then what would you do about your smell? Vampires and humans have a distinctive smell from each other, and it seems to go even beyond that. I know you want to help Peter, and I do too, but not now." "Correct, Quinn. Not now, which was why I was suggesting in the summer," Logan explained. "Your growth in strength so far has been rapid. Don't think I haven't noticed. I made some rough calculations in my mind, and I have never seen anything like it before. Eventually the vampires will come after us, right? But we have no clue when, and we have no clue where, yet they know about you and you don't know about them. This is the chance for us to gather the information needed. What's one vampire among—" For a moment, Logan stopped there, realizing he had no clue how many vampires they were. "My point is, sometimes the best hiding place is one right under their noses. Between now and then, do whatever you can to get stronger, because I'm telling you, Quinn, I've made up my mind. I'm going. This isn't just about Peter. Of course I feel like I failed him many times and want to help him, but this also goes down to my research. This is my whole life, not just mine, but my family as well." "Logan!" Quinn shouted, but could see when looking at him, his expression was one of determination. He was going to go through that teleporter no matter what. "Logan, I'll think about it." "Will you tell the others?" Logan asked. "Did you guys tell me when they came to get Peter? Honestly, this matter doesn't involve them," Quinn replied. "I would disagree with you, Quinn. Your shadow ability is a trait that only vampires can use, correct? The second Vordan declared that his family was protecting that ability. His whole family is now involved, whether you like it or not. Peter, he was changed and became a vampire of some sort because of you, and now Layla is the same. They have nowhere to go now and no one to rely on but you. The only person that still isn't directly involved in this mess is me, but I am volunteering and choosing to go. You don't have to make up your mind now, but I think I already know what your answer in the summer will be. So, Quinn, get stronger. Get as strong as you can, and if there's any way I can help, let me know." "Damn it, can he read my mind or something?" Quinn had already decided. Too many of the people around him were leaving because of him. If Logan was to go to the vampire world, he would do anything he could to protect him. He didn't want another one of those who were close to him to disappear. "Oh, before you go, about that scent thing," Logan said. "I was wondering, after the trick Fex pulled to disguise the smell and trick them into thinking Peter was you, I was wondering if maybe there was some way to replicate it. All I need is a bit of your blood." "Well, this is a change. Usually I'm the one asking other people for blood, but here's Logan asking for mine." "Sure, go ahead," Quinn replied. After taking some of Quinn's blood, it was stored away in what looked like a specialized fridge. The computer screen started to do its thing, and it was analyzing the contents inside it. While watching everything Logan was doing made Quinn think. "I remember you did quite well in the crafting tournament. If I gave you some advanced crystals, do you think you could make me a pair of new gauntlets?" Once again, Logan placed his hand on his chin as he thought. "The problem isn't making them. I can pretty much make anything since I can just look for a standard blueprint online. The problem is I'm not a forger. Although I would say I'm better than the average forger, I also don't come close to those at the top. Not once could I create an active skill to go with a weapon I created." Is it what Leo was talking about? How the top forgers, without even realizing it, are implementing a part of their key while making the weapon? "Do you know anyone who can?" Quinn asked. "Sadly, I do not." If he allowed Logan to make the gauntlets for him, he thought it would just be a waste in the end, but he could always use it as a last resort. Then, while in the middle of thinking, Quinn started to think about his boots. Shadow equip. The shadow surrounding his legs and his boots suddenly appear around his 2 feet. These were the only items that he owned that had the active skill Windwalk. Inspect. Using his inspect skill, the basic information about the stat points, the active skill, and finally the name of the creator appeared. I think I have a way to find a good forger, Quinn said.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.